Hello dear students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Rimalpreet Kaur, Assistant Professor, Khalsa College of Education, Ranjit Avenue, Amritsar. Today we are going to discuss about administration, structure, functions and processes at state government level. After studying this topic, you will be able to know the educational administrative setup for higher education in the state, explain the educational administrative setup for school education in the state, explore the responsibilities of the state government regarding school education, discuss the structure of educational administrative setup at secondary and elementary level. Well students, the administrative machinery is sole responsible for the spread of education. Due to the rapid growth of scientific and technological advancement in our country, there was an increasing awareness among the people and each vibrant individual that education process should be based on integrated development of the citizens. Moreover, it was increasingly realized that all relevant instruments and agencies which are responsible for this growth should be integrated in order to ensure all-round development. Therefore, a comprehensive approach has to be adopted in science, technology, arts and crafts and humanities for the development of the country. In pursuance of this idea, a new ministry has been created under a suggestive name, that is Ministry of Human Resource Development, on 26 September 1985. The nation as a whole should find resources for the vital area of the education, and in this endeavor the center and states should play complementary roles and become real understanding partners. It is important that in the formulation and implementation of the policy and programs, there should be close and continuous consultation between the central and state governments in the true spirit of partnership. But now, the present administrative setup is being decentralized. For this purpose, in order to keep a balance, there is delegation of responsibilities and powers from the center to state in order to bring equality of educational opportunity. The essence of human resource development is education, which plays a significant and remedial role in balancing the socio-economic fabric of the country. Since citizens of India are its most valuable resource, our billion-strong nation needs the nurture and care in the form of basic education to achieve better equality of life. This warrants an all-round development of our citizens, which can be achieved by building strong foundations in education. Currently, the MHRD works through two departments. One is Department of School Education and Literacy. It is responsible for development of school education and literacy in the country. This department has its eyes set on the universalization of education and making better citizens out of our young brigade. For this, various new schemes and initiatives are taken up regularly, and recently those schemes and initiatives have also started paying dividends in the form of growing enrollment in the schools. Second is Department of Higher Education. It is one of the largest higher education systems of the world, just after the United States and China. This department is engaged in bringing world-class opportunities of higher education and research to the country, so that Indian students are not finding lacking when facing an international platform. For this, the government has launched joint ventures and signed MOUs to help the Indian students benefit from the world opinion. Now, come to the educational administrative setup of higher education in the state. India is the 7th largest country in the world in terms of area and the second largest in population. India is a union comprising 29 states and 7 union territories. After attainment of independence, the major administrative reorganization of the states took place in 1956 on linguistic basis on the recommendations of the States Reorganization Commission. The states vary considerably in terms of geographical area, climatic conditions, population size, density, and social and economic characteristics. Therefore, the Indian Union presents a complex picture in terms of diversity of the states and union territories. The Constitution of India defines administrative and other responsibilities of the states and the Union. Under the 7th schedule of the Constitution of the legislative matters have been put under the Union list, the state list and the concurrent list. Till the 42nd Amendment of the Constitution, which placed education in the concurrent list, education was in the state list except for certain specified items in the union list like determination of standards in institutions for higher education or research, establishment and maintenance of the central universities as well as specified institutions for scientific or technical education and research. The objective of incorporating education in the concurrent list was to facilitate evolution of all India policies in the field of education. States, however, continue to exercise the main responsibility for planning and administration of school education. Higher education sector has witnessed a tremendous increase in the number of university or university level institutions and colleges since independence. The number of universities has increased 34 times from 20 in 1950 to 677 in 2014. Sector boasts of 45 central universities, of which 40 are under the purview of Ministry of Human Resource Development, 318 state universities, 185 state private universities, 129 deemed to be universities, 51 institutions of national importance under MHRD, and 4 institutions established under various state legislations. The number of colleges has also registered manifold increase of 74 times, with just 500 in 1950 growing to 37,204 as on 31st March 2013. The quantum growth in the higher education sector is spearheaded by universities, which are the highest seats of learning. In India, university means a university established or incorporated by or under a central act, a provincial act or a state act, and includes any such institution as may, in consultation with the university concerned, be recognized by the University Grants Commission, in accordance with the regulations made in this regard under the UGC Act 1956. Every year, millions of students from within the country and abroad enter these portals mainly for their graduate, postgraduate studies, while millions leave this portal for the world outside. Higher education is a shared responsibility of both the center and the state. The coordination and determination of standards in universities and colleges is entrusted to the UGC and other statutory regulatory bodies. The central government provides grants to the UGC and establishes central universities or institutions of national importance in the country. The UGC, however, was formally established only in November 1956 as a statutory body of Government of India through an Act of Parliament for the coordination, determination and maintenance of standards of university education in India. In order to ensure effective region-wise coverage throughout the country, the UGC has decentralized its operations by setting up 6 regional centers at Pune, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Bhopal, Guwahati and Bangalore. At present, the main categories of the university or university level institutions are central universities, state universities, deemed to be universities and university level institutions. Let's discuss these. Central university is a university established or incorporated by a central act. Next is state university, which is established by a provincial act or by a state act. Then there is private university, established through a state or central act by a sponsoring body. In other words, a society registered under the Societies Registration Act 1860 or any other corresponding law for the time being in force in a state or a public trust or a company registered under Section 25 of the Companies Act 1956. Other is deemed to be university. An institution deemed to be university, commonly known as a deemed university, refers to a highly performing institution which has been so declared by the central government under Section 3 of the University Grants Commission Act 1956. Number of deemed university is 172. Next are UGC affiliated colleges. The University Grants Commission provides financial assistance to eligible colleges which are included under Section 2F and declared fit to receive central assistance under Section 12B of UGC Act 1956 as per approved pattern of assistance under various schemes. Then is All India Council for Technical Education. It was set up in 1945 as an advisory body and later on in 1987 given the statutory status by the Act of Parliament. The All India Council of Technical Education grants approval for starting new technical institutions, for introduction of new courses and for a variation in intake capacity in technical institutions. The AICTE has delegated to the concerned state government's powers to process and grant approval of new institutions, starting new courses and variations in the intake capacity for diploma level technical institutions. It also lays down norms and standards for such institutions. It also ensures quality, development of technical education through accreditation of technical institutions or programs. In addition to this regulatory role, the AICTE also has a promotional role which it implements through schemes for promoting technical education for women, handicapped and weaker section of the society, promoting innovations, faculty, research and development, giving grants to technical institutions. Next is Council of Architecture. The Council of Architecture has been constituted by the Government of India under the provisions of the Architects Act 1972 enacted by Parliament, which came into force on September 1st, 1972. The Act provides for registration of architects and matters connected therewith. The COA, beside maintaining a register of architects, oversees the maintenance of standards periodically of recognized qualifications under the Act by way of conducting inspection through committees of experts. Based on the inspections, the COA can make representation to appropriate governments with regard to inadequacy of standards maintained by the institutions. Then there are institutes of national importance. An institute of national importance in India is defined as one which serves as a pivotal player in developing highly skilled personnel within the specified region of the country or state. Only a chosen few institutes makes it to this coveted list and are usually supported by the Government of India or even international institutes to develop centers of excellence in research, academics and other such elite schools of education. In India, all of the IITs, NITs, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, NIPER, ISI and some other institutes as institutes of national importance. Now, let's discuss educational administrative setup of school education in the state. School is the foundation of our education. The structure of school education refers to the ladder of education at school level. This can be visualized from two perspectives, namely academic and administrative. Within a state, there is generally a four-tier structure of administration division: district, taluka, tehsil, block and village. The district has been so far the most important unit of administration. Some of the states have introduced the system of Panchayati Raj, generally a three-tier structure of local self-government in rural areas at the village, block and district levels. Two recent constitutional amendments have bestowed on the local bodies in rural and urban areas constitutional status and specific functions including education, covering education up to secondary level, technical training and vocational education, adult and non-formal education. These amendments will strengthen decentralized management of education at the grassroots level. At state level, the position differs at different levels. Some states have separate departments, ministries like higher education, school education, etc. The following are the responsibility of the state government regarding school education: to establish and maintain educational institutions, to recognize for the establishment of schools, to provide grants to schools managed by private governing bodies, to pass laws for different types of school education, to supervise school through DEOs and supervisors at block level, to recruit and place teachers in schools, to prescribe the syllabus and supply books, to establish school boards to conduct examinations, to provide special assistance to poor and backward students, to organize training programs for teachers and supervisors, to initiate action against teachers and schools in case of any lapse, to feed information to the center about schools, educational administrative setup of secondary education and primary education can be discussed as follows. Structure of educational administrative setup at secondary education can be seen through this flowchart. Going down the hierarchy, first comes the education minister, the highest authority of education at the state level, appointed by the chief minister and is duly elected as the representative of the people. He is responsible to the legislature. In some states, the Minister of Education is assisted by a state or deputy minister. The Minister of Education formulates the policies in consultation of the cabinet. He is responsible for the implementation of the policies. He is assisted by Education Secretary and DPI, that is Director Public Instruction. Main functions of Minister of Education are formulation of education policies and providing leadership to the educational program of state, framing of policies, procedures, rules and regulations to determine standard of education, coordination of the education program of the states in order to promote efficiency, inspection and evaluation to determine efficiency of the operations, providing consultative and information services, to run schools established by government, promoting research activities related to education program, advising the legislature on certain issues and matters and satisfying the legislators about the efficient conduct of education administrative by replying on the questions asked by them. No doubt the education minister mostly is the person related with education and having experience, but many times he is not having technical knowledge about his works, so he depends on the officials for his knowledge. Then comes Secretary of Education. The head of the Secretariat of Education is the Educational Secretary. He is usually assisted by one or more Deputy Secretary. Education Secretary is generally senior IAS officer. He frames the policies related to education and passes order on behalf of the government. All the government orders are issued in his name. Everyday routine matters of education are disposed of by the Educational Secretary. Education Secretary acts as the link between the minister and DPI. The director's proposals are critically examined by the staff of the Secretariat before being submitted for the approval of the minister. Then is Directorate of Education. It is an executive body carrying out the policies of government. The Director of Education or Director of Public Instruction is the highest officer of Directorate of Education. Generally, DPI is a technical expert and chosen for his long teaching, inspecting and administration experience in the department. As the highest executive, he is responsible for the administrative of education in the entire state. Assisted by the number of deputy and assistant directors, he performs the functions like presenting proposals of policy to the education secretary and to execute it if approved by education minister, keeping government informed about the conditions and progress of all types of education and the people's need and requirements regarding education, supervising, controlling, inspecting and guiding the educational institutions including private institutions in the state, supervising the work of government officials, inspectors, teachers of government institutions and to deal with their leave, transfer and discipline, disburse funds as sanctioned by the government, determine and disburse grants in aids to privately managed institutions, organizing training of secondary school teachers, providing expert advice both to the institutions and secretariat. Then comes Circle Education Officer. Ordinarily, every state has been divided into regions, circles or divisions from administrative point of view. The organization of education on regional and circle basis has been made in order to establish an administrative coordination in the functioning of district education authorities belonging to particular region or circle and for efficient disposal of official business. These circles come under the supervision of the Circle Education Officer. For example, Punjab state has been divided into 3 divisions, Jalandhar, Patiala and Nabha circles. These circles are having their own CEOs. The CEO carries out the administrative and supervisory work of the whole division. Important functions of CEO are to supervise the work done by district education officer, to give annual increments to the authorities and the workers, to inspect and supervise the functions of heads of institutions, to hear the cases of master cadre, lecturer cadre persons and give judgments regarding their cases, to execute the work assigned to him by Directorate of Education. CEO is assisted by Deputy Circle Education Officer in all his works. Then comes the District Education Officer. District level is the most important level in the education administration. The success or failure of the programs concerning secondary education depends upon the activities at this level. The highest level officer of education at district level is the District Education Officer or District Inspector of Schools. There are other officers to assist him in his work. Every district of each division has the office of DEO stationed at district headquarters. DEO performs almost all the functions as are performed by DPIs at the state level. Important functions of DEO are to give recognition to schools in his district when the schools fulfill certain conditions, to issue grants to the aided schools, to organize district level sports competitions, to supervise the functioning of school, to carry out the annual inspection of the schools, to implement the policies and orders of the highest authorities regarding education, to give directions to the subordinate staff, to hear cases of teachers and give judgment regarding their cases. Each DEO is directly associated with the high and higher secondary schools of the district through the headmaster or principal of the school. DEO is assisted by Deputy DEO in carrying out his functions smoothly. Then is headmaster or principal. For the administration of secondary schools, there are headmasters or principals as the head of the institutions. For high schools, there are headmasters, headmistresses and they get full cooperation of second headmaster. For higher secondary schools, head is called principal and he is cooperated by vice principal. The institutional head does the following functions. The principal is attached to the school directly, so success of the programs of school depends upon him. He has to do 3 functions during the year: before the starting of the session, during the session and at the end of the session. Before the session, this is the time when headmaster or principal plans the programs for the whole session with the help of his teachers. He makes plan for academic year to maximize admissions and other works to be performed during the year. During the session, headmaster principal is busy in doing his routine works, discipline works and other programs. At the end of the session, headmaster is busy for the board examination and for the other school examination to promote the students to the new classes. After that, the declaration of results and to give his own ideas regarding the working of the whole year is his important functions. To make arrangements for the induction of new subject teachers, to implement the orders, directions and decision of higher authorities, to make arrangements for various cooperative activities, to make provisions for games and sports activities, to make daily activities successful, to maintain the school building, school furniture, libraries and laboratories are his main functions. To take care of office records and to observe these minutely, to lead the teachers and to give them guidance in certain works, to make arrangements for examination and evaluation. Finally comes the science supervisor. In every district education office, there is a post of science supervisor. This science supervisor gets the school's lecturer's grade. His function is to observe the science labs of all high and higher secondary schools of the districts. This science supervisor checks the schools and sends his report to the district education officer. Now let's discuss the structure of educational administrative setup at elementary level. As you can see on the screen, the flow chart concerning with this administrative setup. At the top level comes Director Public Instruction. He is at the primary or elementary level schooling and manage the policies and practices related to elementary education towards improving the functioning of school education department. Then comes the district education officer. He controls the whole district with regard to education, manage, guide, hear and redress the complaints of the teachers and other staff and general public. All the duties by the teachers and other staff are complied with under the name of District Education Officer. He is assisted by a Deputy DEO. He performs the same functions at the district level which are performed by the Director at the state level. His functions include giving recognition to schools, distributing grants to aided schools, organizing schools and district level competitions, supervising the working of schools, implementing the schemes of the government, solving the problems of teachers and so on. Then comes Block Education Officer. He will perform following functions and exercise following powers in his jurisdiction. He will deal with matters of all teaching and non-teaching staff working in the elementary schools. He will forward the matters to district education officers concerned if required to do so as per procedures or rules and directions issued from time to time. He will deal with all court matters and assist the concerned district education officer and high authorities in proper and effective defense of various court cases pertaining to elementary education department. He will deal with the matters pertaining to recognized and aided private schools and recognized and unaided private schools at elementary level. He will maintain the account statement, cash book and expenditure reports, etc. in respect of funds grants received under various schemes. He will make sincere efforts to strengthen the school management and development committees and arrange a training and orientation programs to empower them in all respect. Then comes the center head teacher. The prime role of a center head teacher is to provide academic and administrative leadership to the school or center and to engage with external organizations on behalf of the school or center and the university. This will involve the following general responsibilities: governance of the school or center and the establishment and developing of its strategic direction, guidance and developing of teaching and research, guidance and developing of staff and management of staff related issues, management of finances and infrastructure through effective planning, revenue generation, budgeting and expenditure control, and internationalization of the school or center. Finally comes the head teacher, who has to play 7 major roles. Role in planning, role in school organization, teaching role, role in supervision, role in guidance, role in maintaining relations, role in general administration. So these were the administrative setup at elementary and secondary school level. Thank you.